Ministers from 13 African and European countries have held talks with the EU on cracking down migrant traffickers. They are calling for firmer action on smuggling networks. Migration analyst Emmanuel Okonkwo joins us now to discuss this. Many thanks for joining us, Emmanuel.
Thank you very much.
Now, stricter action, but really, let's start with how many prosecutions we've had, even in just this country of ours, in terms of networks. Why is it so difficult to nab the operators of these networks?
Well, the thing is that the people who involved in human trafficking are very, very sophisticated. And the problem is that society has not come to that point where we are rejecting that, because what's happening is a lot of families are still patronizing them. A lot of families think that getting out of this country is the best thing that can happen to their children. So until we sensitize society and let them know that human trafficking is actually a crime against humanity, nobody's going to...
The business will keep booming.
Exactly.
Until nobody patronizes them, they'll be out of business.
Absolutely. And for you to prosecute them, you need information. And the information must come from people in the society. And if people in society think that this is a valid way of doing life, nobody's going to provide information. Nobody's going to say, well, I know someone. So we need to get to the point where people in our communities recognize that a lot of these people who are being taken out end up dying and not getting to Europe.
Now, some of those girls perhaps will want to renounce and say, okay, I'm no longer interested, but the fear of voodoo sometimes is the beginning of wisdom for those girls. Yes,
there's the fear of voodoo, but the point is, as long as you have hard economic circumstances, as long as you have a country where people don't have numerous options, and as long as leaving this country remains one of the ways of fulfilling your dreams, then you are going to still have people who will still want to do this, even at the likelihood of losing their lives.
Okay, as they want to stay with the voodoo, I don't know if you've seen the video of what happened in Benin some time away, 2 weeks ago or just last week.
Yes.
The Oba telling the girls that now they are now free to stop. If they want to stop, they are free to stop.
Yes.
What do you make of that?
Well, clearly that's a good thing. Some churches are also doing it. You know, people use voodoo as a way of taking an oath, so that these girls or these boys will go there and return money. But as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing in trying to let these victims know that voodoo or no voodoo, you know, you have a right to say no. But I don't think that's where to start. You know, that's just a very marginal side of this whole equation. I think where we need to start is to reduce the patronage for those people. If you get to that point where people don't need to look at leaving the country for survival, then we won't be talking about voodoo economics. We won't be talking about all of this. So starting from that voodoo end is dealing with this problem from the wrong
papering the crack, really, and not dealing with the root of the problems.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's look at the interconnectivity in terms of border control, like, for instance, Niger and Nigeria.
Yes.
How porous is that border, really?
The border is very porous. And I don't even think that human trafficking alone is the only reason why we need to look at how porous our borders are. I mean, imagine a country where your borders are porous. So human trafficking is one concern, but what about just the security of our nation? What about dealing with porous border by considering our terrorist problem? We have all these issues right now with people just coming into our country, people being killed all over the country, and our borders are porous. So I believe...
And of course, you know, the herdsmen killing, and some of them are not Nigerian, so
that's
where do they come from?
Exactly. So yes, human trafficking is a big thing now, but our borders, we should look at our borders beyond just the issue of human trafficking. Because if we say fix the borders, somebody will say, oh, is it just because of human trafficking? No. Yes, human trafficking is a problem, but why would you just have an open border? Why would you have people have left Libya's broken down? All those terrorists are all over the place, and they're just migrating and looking for where to.
Is the problem just having perhaps a standardized patrol at the border point? What about some kind of identification?
Absolutely. You see, until we go back to national identity card scheme. I know it's all political and it's very sensitive for some sections of the country. I lived in England for 15 years. I had a national insurance number. They punch it on a computer. They know who I am and where I am. Until we go back to make ID in every Nigerian, you are not going to solve this problem.
Okay. Yes. All right. Like you said earlier, that this network is so sophisticated, and that will bring to mind that some of those networks, they have flanks, even in the EU countries and abroad. So if the EU is asking African to look inwards, is it also not hypocritical of them not to look inwards?
Well, they have to look inwards, but you have to understand that without demand, there is no supply. And there's a demand for human trafficking this end. Okay. People want to go. So you need to deal with the demand for this if you want to cut off that supply. Yes. Okay. All right. So really, the brunt of it, the bulk of it starts from the destination countries. This is where they're coming from. This is where they're coming from. Okay. Thank you for your time and your thought on TVC News, Emmanuel Okonkwo.